All right, let's dive into a really cool, kind of terrifying question from modern mythology. What happens when a king doesn't just think he's a god, but actually declares himself the god, the absolute center of everything? Well, it turns out the universe doesn't take that sitting down. It answers back, and that answer is a shadow, an entity born from that very moment of supreme will. And this quote, man, it just nails the whole conflict, doesn't it? This isn't your standard good versus evil slugfest. No, this is way bigger. This is existence itself versus, well, non-existence. It's a philosophical debate with universe-shattering consequences. For every powerful I am, there's got to be an equal opposite whisper, you are not. So, here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start with the king's yes, then move to the universe's no. After that, we'll get into the water that burns, you'll see what that means, cover the philosophy of the void, and wrap it all up with the dialectic of the abyss. Okay, first up, the king's yes. To really get a handle on this shadow character, you've got to go back to the very beginning, to the one action that kicked this whole cosmic mess off. So, you have King Glaucus of Atlantis, right? And he does something, well, impossible. He ascends. He becomes this being of pure thought, pure will. And in that moment, he doesn't just feel like a god, he declares himself the absolute I. Think about that. He's claiming to be the very definition of self. And that single cosmic yes to his own existence, that's the big bang for this entire story. But you know how it is. For every action, there's a reaction. The universe just loves balance. And when you make a statement as big as the king's yes, you're practically begging for an equally massive no. And here's where it gets really wild. As Glaucus went up, he had to shed all his mortal baggage, right? All his doubts, his fears, his limits. But that stuff, it didn't just disappear into thin air. Nope. It all swirled together and formed something new, something dark, the Mephistophelean Shadow. If the king is the absolute I, this thing is the eternal non-I. It's his perfect, terrifying opposite. Let's just look at how perfectly they mirror each other. You've got King Glaucus, the absolute I, trying to build a world based on his will. On the other side, the shadow, the eternal non-I, whose only motivation is to tear it all down, to dissolve it back into chaos. One is all about the light of consciousness. The other is the king of the void. It's not just opposition, it's a perfect, kind of horrifying symmetry. And here's the kicker, the part that really gets under your skin. The shadow isn't some external enemy. He was born in the subspace of the king's own mind. When that magic word was spoken that made Glaucus a god, the silence that came right after, it wasn't empty. It became a living, breathing malice. This thing is literally the king's dark side, built from all the pieces of himself he tried to throw away. So how does a being that's literally the concept of no even fight? Well, not with swords and shields. Its weapons are ideas. Its arsenal is designed for one thing and one thing only, unmaking. Get this. The Shadow's main weapon is a twisted, horrific version of the king's own power over water. It's called the cosmic void of the deep. And it's not water that gives life. It's a liquid that acts like a solvent for reality itself. Imagine a hyperdense, chaotic energy that literally burns existence away on contact. It's water that burns. And just look at what this stuff is. It's a dark plasma that burns reality. It's got the weight of an entire ocean, but it also has the freezing heat of the vacuum between stars. It's a necrotic flux, a fourth state of matter, something beyond solid, liquid, or gas that just erodes molecular bonds. It's designed purely to take things apart. This chart really puts it into perspective. Glaucus commands H2O in its three states: solid, liquid, gas. The shadow? It commands a fourth state, this necrotic flux. To Glaucus, the ocean is a kingdom to be ruled. To the shadow, it's just a big bottle of acid to erase the stain of existence. It's not just about countering the king's power. It's about corrupting the very idea of it. And it doesn't stop with the burning water. His other toys are just as messed up. He's got blades forged from frozen nothingness. These things don't cut flesh. They sever your soul from the world. One touch, and you're just an empty shell. He's not attacking your body. He's attacking the very concept of you. So you have to wonder, what kind of philosophy drives a being like this? behind all these weapons of unmaking is a belief system that's just as terrifying. Let's call it the gospel of annihilation. The Shadow's worldview is something called negative idealism. Basically, he believes the only absolute, the only real truth in the universe is the void, nothingness. He thinks the I, the self that Glaucus is so proud of, is just a delusion. For him, the only true state of being is entropy, everything falling apart and returning to zero. And this quote, this just says it all. The Shadow looks at something like the lightning of Zeus, the power of a god, and sees it as static, just a tiny, meaningless flicker. Because when you compare it to the infinite, endless dark that was there before anything was ever created, yeah, all of creation is just a blip. So you've got the ultimate creator facing off against the ultimate uncreator. Let's put them in the ring and see what their endless war, this dialectic of the abyss, actually looks like. It boils down to this: lightning meets darkness. Pure, unbending will meets the all-consuming void. An entire kingdom versus the solvent designed to dissolve it. This is the endless fight between being and not being. And this is maybe the most important thing to remember. The Shadow isn't just an opponent. He is the king's own doubt, given flesh and power. He's that little voice in Glaucus's head whispering, "Are you sure? What if this is all for nothing?" He's a god of ruin born from an internal crisis. This is what makes him so much scarier than a normal bad guy. He doesn't want the throne. He couldn't care less about ruling Atlantis. His goal is way more fundamental. He wants to sink the throne, the king, the kingdom, and the whole ocean into pure, absolute unmaking. So in the end, their story is really a parable, a cautionary tale. It's the story of the twofold Atlantis. And the lesson is simple. For every height of glory you reach, you create an equally deep abyss of nothingness that will chase you for the rest of time. The brightest light casts the darkest shadow. Which leaves us with one last, kind of chillin' question to think about. In a universe that's defined by this perfect stalemate, an eternal yes versus an eternal no, what's the end game? Can one ever really win? Or are they just destined to fight forever until they cancel each other out and there's nothing left at all?